Hello and good morning, everyone. Welcome to this special IoH CIPD seminar. My name is Dr. Prasanna Nepal, and I'm your host this morning. I'm joined by a panel of experts this morning to talk about empowering people and shaping culture in tourism and hospitality. Before we start today, let me just run through a few housekeeping items. Please ask questions using the function on your screen, and we'll try to answer as many we can towards the end of this session. We'll aim to finish this seminar within 1 hour. Please remember that you can use the next hour towards your CPD hours and to the record of this session in your CPD area on your member dashboard. Today's webinar will be filmed and placed on your on-demand channels on the IoH website, so you can watch this back when you need to. So without further delay, let me introduce the panel. I'd like to, maybe Rory, you can introduce yourself, and then we can go to Ian and Tracy, and I'll introduce myself.
Sure.
If you can introduce yourself and let them, let us know why you are the member of IoH.
Thanks very much. Good morning, everybody. Delighted to be here this morning. My name's Rory Slater. I'm Managing Director for the Como Hotels in London. It's Como Metropolitan London and Como the Halkin in Belgravia. I'm delighted to be here to talk on this subject. I've been in luxury hospitality now for just over 30 years and returned from 10 years in Asia. And so meeting and working with many different cultures around the world, it's a real passion of mine. So I hope that you find it insightful. Ian? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Ian Scarth. I'm actually just retired, so I've got an easy life. I'm a former professor of the École Hôtelière de Lausanne in Switzerland, where I spent 15 years, prior to which I worked in the luxury hotel market and in the event catering market, places like Wembley Stadium and those sort of large-scale operations. So I went from luxury to fast food, but I enjoyed both of them immensely.
Thank you. Dr. Tracy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Tracy Xu. I'm an associate professor from University of Surrey, and I'm also the co-director of Future of Work Research Center in Surrey. And I would like to share some of my research experiences and also my teaching experiences on leadership and human resource management. And I would also like to hear about your thoughts as well. So that's why I'm here. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. My name is Dr. Prasanna Nepal. I'm a university lecturer and hospitality professional. I work in the London Hotel Collection and oversees the operational and management departments. I joined the Institute of Hospitality because it connects me with people like you and helps me to get into the network and understand the trend of the institute and trend of the industry. Okay. As someone who combines the research and the practice, the academia and the industry, okay, my research when I did my doctorate mostly focused into the hospitality industry and look into the employee retention in UK hotel sector, especially when we had a big issue of the Brexit. Okay, so that's all about me. Now let's move into today's talks, which is about empowering the people and shaping the culture in tourism and hospitality. So by end of today's webinar, all you participants will be able to define what a first-person culture looks like in modern tourism and hospitality in the environment, recognize the role of leadership in shaping inclusive, resilient, and high-performing teams, exploring the practical strategies to empower the employee at all levels, which include the approach to learning and development. You'll probably be able to evaluate how workplace culture directly influences the guest experience, employee retention, and probably the brand reputation. You'll be able to identify the key challenges and opportunity in creating a psychologically safe diverse and value-led workplace. You'll be able to apply the insight from the academic research and the industry case study to your own professional context or your organization. All right, let me start with the first questions to Rory. Rory, how can hospitality organization move beyond the mission statement to embed real culture value in day-to-day operation?
Thanks. At the beginning of this one, I think it's just important to look at culture in a very broad spec. I worked over in New York, in China, in Japan, in Hong Kong, back in London, and so many different cultural elements to consider. But I think there are some real commonalities with all of them. And that's exactly what just asked there, is bringing that into day-to-day operations. I believe in leading from the front and being present. And I think to drive a culture through day-to-day means you need to do it, and then your team will do it. So I start the day by walking through, shaking hands with everybody, saying hello, but also listening for the answers. It's not just to sweep through the lobby, say morning, 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 and go and grab a coffee, but it's actually going out to the doorstep, having a chat with the doorman, and then soon after, and I've been here nearly 18 months now in London, they will tell you all sorts of things, the fun, the casual, and also the little diamonds of important information. If you believe, as many companies do, that by putting a tagline down, by putting some mission statement above the staff entrance, that will change something, it's only just the beginning. And whilst they're very important, it's a challenge for the leadership team to drill down what do those words mean? How do you translate that into something that creates an environment that is both open and productive? And one of the things that I did here last year was to take some of the words that Como have as their values, and we translated that with a leadership team over a couple of days. And I wanted to share that with everybody just to show what I mean. And I'll just share my screen now. Can you see that? So we have, this week we called it our foundations, and essentially we took the words passion, creativity, and style, which individually people can understand, but we put this into different lines. So if you look horizontally, we've got here, what do we want our desired guest experience to be like? How do we want our guests? And we want them to be recognized, positively surprised. We want them to have memorable experiences. We want them to feel welcomed. And that's not unlike any other hospitality environment. But beneath that, we had the team member behaviors that we were looking to curate through this cultural environment. And in order to be recognized, you need a team member to connect with that guest. In order for them to feel positively surprised, we need them to be dynamic so that they can look and find out what will surprise that guest through personalization. In order for them to have a memorable experience, you need to create something to create that memorable experience. And also to feel welcomed, you need that energy and that enthusiasm to be able to do it. So that means you need to have a work environment that allows your team member to do just that and for the guests to experience what was set out. So we need an environment of inclusivity, inclusive working environment. We need an environment where growth is front and center, that people can reach their full potential. You need to drive adaptability, because in our world of hospitality, no 2 days are the same. You need to just deal with what's coming your way. And also fun, a big element of hospitality. We've got a lot of young people working hospitality, spend a lot of hours in the building. You need to have fun, it's important. So understanding that, we knew what we had to have as a leadership core values. And so we needed open, honest, transparent conversations. We need to have more of a coaching mentality than a dictatorial, do this, do that, checklists. We need to foster the empowerment, the sense of empowerment, which I know we'll get through in a moment, and that feeling of support, that the team members really have support. So these 3 words of our values came through into building what are our foundations here in Como, London. And we found them to be really, really useful to reflect on, talk about in morning meetings and also going through in day-to-day activities always draw back, how did that work? So that's just a little snapshot on how to start looking at cultural change.
Thank you, Rory. Maybe Ian, you can insert the life cultural value beyond the policy.
I'll do my best. Building a little bit on what Rory said there, culture is not a HR thing. Culture is there, and everybody has got to be involved in the building and construction of it. I always related a little bit to sales. Sales in a hotel involves everybody. You know, you can't have somebody sat in an office trying to sell a hotel and then the guest comes through reception and they have a bad experience at the front desk. That front desk operative is part of that sales team. He or she is trying to help sell that hotel and encourage that customer to come back or spread good news about that property. Culture's the same. Everybody has got to be involved in the building of that culture and the management of that culture. However, it's not a HR task to drive that culture or instill that culture within an organization. That comes from the leadership of the organization, as Rory has just said. It's the way that the senior people act and their own beliefs in the culture that they're trying to build. And you can't have leaderships that believe they can have a culture for the workforce and a different approach for themselves. They've really 100% got to buy into that culture. You can't outsource culture. It's not something you can outsource internally to HR or externally to a consultancy. You can use their services to help you construct and build a culture, but at the end of the day, you have to take full ownership of the culture that you wanted and your own culture. So I think that's the first thing to say. And I think the second thing I'd like to point to is that we've always had a saying across all industries that sort of says you can't manage what you can't measure. And I would sort of suggest that that is now obsolete. We can't use that phrase any longer because we have to become good at managing things that we cannot measure, because those are the things that are important in building a culture. And Rory's just talked there about experience and how important it is to get a good understanding of that guest experience and how you build that guest experience. But how do you measure experience? How do you measure joy, happiness, these sort of things that are both important to the customer and extremely important to the employees now? So we've got to become good at managing things that we cannot measure. And I always suggest that what we need to focus on are things that are contagiously positive, things that people want within their working life and within their day, and they value, such as an enjoyment, a happiness, a challenge. And we've got to develop those contagiously. And there are some very good companies out there doing some really good work on this. It was really interesting recently to read the Sunday Times Best Employers survey and see how many hospitality companies are in there. You know, the likes of the Dorchester Group and the Landmark London Group are doing some great stuff there, as are so many other of the big organizations. I think the challenge is with the smaller guys and how we help those and assist those to build culture and understand culture.
Thank you, Ian. I think I need to borrow one of your sentences saying we cannot outsource the culture, because we in a generation or in an era where we like to outsource everything from different department, different function to but you rightly said that we cannot outsource the culture. Dr. Tracy, let me ask you the questions that what kind of roles that leadership can play in shaping the culture, especially in international or multicultural team?
Thank you, Prasanna. So as Ian and Rory already mentioned, leadership really matters, right? Especially when you are working with international and multicultural teams, which is pretty much the norm in our hospitality industry. And I teach HR and leadership modules. And there are many different types of leadership styles, such as transformational leadership and charismatic leadership that I believe are very important in shaping a culture of belonging. So let me talk about transformational leadership. Okay, so transformational leaders are great in bringing people all together around a shared vision, and they inspire the team, they encourage innovation of the organization, they make sure that everyone feels included no matter what they are from, where they are from. So it's about valuing the individual's growth and unique perspectives so the team members can feel heard, respected, and they are motivated to contribute to the organization. And the other leadership style that I want to mention is charismatic leadership. Okay, so for charismatic leaders, they build the strong emotional connections to the of the employees. So the charismatic leaders, they use the empathy and their own personality to create the trust and cohesion in the team. So this can be especially powerful in hospitality settings because the relationship and the people skills are very important in hospitality, and the charismatic leaders can help to bridge the cultural gaps by celebrating the differences and by modeling the inclusive behaviors in the organization. So in the diverse hospitality teams, the belonging, they just don't happen on its own. It's that good leaders can actively create the sense of the belonging. Okay, so they promote the open communication, they invite different viewpoints, and they make sure that the biases are addressed. So I believe that this is a continuous effort, but when it's done well, it can lead to the stronger teams, better service, and a more positive workplace for everybody. Yeah, thank you, Prashana.
Thank you very much for giving us insight about the transformational leaders and charismatic leaders. Yeah, in a hotel sector, the leadership play a very crucial role in creating a culture of belongings within diverse team, which made for the staff from different backgrounds, different cultures. Okay. For the example, a hotel manager who can actively model respect and the cultural awareness, such as acknowledging the different cultural holidays or the encouraging staff to share their traditions, set a positive tones that helps everyone to feel valued. By fostering this kind of open communication and ensuring that all voices are heard during the team meetings, the manager builds the trust and psychological safety, making it easier for employee to speak with their managers, bring their concern, and share their ideas. Tailoring these kind of communications with suit the diverse language or different cultural norms helps to avoid the misunderstanding. Okay, while involving the team members from all backgrounds in decision making and offering the equal opportunity for the training and promotions that ensure the fairness. Okay, so such kind of inclusive leadership not only boosts the staff morals and the engagement, but also improve the guest experience in hospitality industry. Okay, now let me get back to Rory. Okay, what are some practical ways that hospitality leaders can empower the entry-level staff to grow and contribute to their meaningful journey?
Thanks, Prashana. Empowerment's a big word and it's banded around quite a lot. And I think I always enjoy working for different companies, both large and small, and seeing, excuse me, and seeing exactly what the culture of certain companies is about. I used to work for Ritz-Carlton for 7 or 8 years, and they've got a very strong culture and they've got a very clear direction. Also worked for some small independent companies where you make it up as you go along, and equally are fun and engaging. But I think it all comes down to trusting your team to make decisions. And I share one element here, which I think is really quite profound, and that's with Ritz-Carlton. And they have a belief in their team members to be empowered to make the right decisions, to resolve problems, issues with guests. And every team member, lady or gentleman, is empowered to be able to spend up to $2,000 to resolve a guest issue. Now, whenever that's spoken about in leadership circles, there's always this sort of, ooh, ah, wow, how could that be? What do you mean someone can spend $2,000 to fix something? Well, it's less about the amount and it's more about the trust. And this, I think, is really quite impressive, because what it encourages and what it instills is the fact that you matter. If you are past a problem, if you have a guest that comes to you and says there's an issue with something, you can fix it. But what it does, it instills a sense of creativity and ownership that you can make a difference and you can do something that you feel is right. So often companies will put in place rules and regulations about what you can give in the case of, let's just say, frontline food and beverage waiter or a receptionist, and you'd say, you can upgrade one room category. You can only give a free breakfast or up to 10% off the minibar. You can only give, and you get this sort of list of parameters in which you are then, and they say, empowered to make a decision. But it does become a little bit lukewarm. In order to have that sense of engagement, which is what the team members want to have, they need to be trusted to make the right decisions. And if the situation is warranted, and that's for them to decide, they should just do it with generosity, with sincerity, and swiftly, decisively say, this is, the breakfast is free, please do this, it's your honeymoon, I'm happy to upgrade you to a suite, or whatever the situation might be, whether you're on the back foot or you're on the front foot, proactively trying to create memories. The team members need to have the support of their managers to be able to deliver that. And I think the $2,000 rule with Ritz-Carlton works really well to signify that. And very, very rarely has it ever been spent to huge amounts. In my time there, people might spend $20, $50, £50, and things would be sorted just like that. And that is arguably the trick. One point on contributing meaningfully. Trust, honesty, respect, and integrity are some of the key words that you need to have discussions with. What does that mean with your frontline team? To say, this is it. This is our business. We run it. You run it. And you can help guide people on the decisions they take. And if somebody goes a little bit too far, if they give a little bit too much, a bit outlandish, a bit expensive, it's okay. They've learned. You have a conversation, not with a hammer over the head, but with some open dialogue to say, okay, I understand how you did that. Well done. Thank you for making the decision. And then you talk about what may be toned down a bit, or actually go the whole hog, go a bit further. You didn't need to do only half, you could do the whole thing. And that gives people a sense of pride, ownership, and they love it. And then they have more fun, more engagement, and then the spiral goes upwards.
Thank you, Rory. As you mentioned, trust, honesty, respect, integrity, and commitment. Wow, what a brilliant way to present it. Dr. Tracy, you are in academia, and you are probably preparing the student for the future, which they haven't seen or we haven't created. So in this era of AI and automation, how do we ensure that people are still feel seen, valued, and essential part of the industry?
Yeah, thank you, Prashana, for the question. And I think that's a very, very important question, especially in hospitality for students. And in hospitality industry, is that the human connection is very important, right? And as AI and automation become more common, we need to be really intentional about keeping people at the heart of what we do in hospitality. So it starts with a human-first approach and human-first orientation. And yes, technology can help us to work more efficiently and more effectively, but it should never replace the warmth of a genuine smile, a kind word, or the personalized touch that guests remember, as Rory mentioned, the Ritz-Carlton, the example. And I believe that leaders should play a big role here. So the hospitality leaders should integrate the technology very thoughtfully, using using the technology to take care of the repetitive things. So our staff members can focus on what really matters, which are the meaningful and high-touch moments with our guests. So it's not just about what we do for our customers, not only for our customers, but also for our staff members. The staff need to feel seen and feel appreciated too. So the things like regular feedback, regular appraisal feedback, and celebrating the small successes, and creating the opportunities for our staff members to grow can all help to remind our staff members, remind our people that they really matter to the industry. And I think that we should encourage the open communication, as Rory said, trust and authenticity, right? Listening to the employees' concerns and offering the opportunities for growth that can help to strengthen the sense of belonging. And the technology should enable and not replace the hospitality employees. So it's that the technology is an enabler for our employees, not a replacement. So we need to get the balance right. Okay, so if we get that balance right, we can keep the heart of the hospitality to make sure that everyone, including our guests and our staff members, feel very valued. Yeah, thank you, Prashant.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy. Yes, having the human touch and using a technology as enables to find the right balance is probably the best way. Let's move into the mentoring side of it. Okay, making mentoring and coaching program like more inclusive means recognizing the diverse and often overlooked workplace, such as part-time staff, night staff, housekeeping teams, or the people from the different culture background, mostly in hospitality sector. To ensure that everyone has equal access, programs should clearly communicated across the different departments and often in flexible format that suit various shift and job roles. Matching should consider language, culture, lived experience, and with mentors trained in inclusive and empathy. Inclusion also means that listening to the staff, their feedback, tackling what is participating, and adjusting the problem and program accordingly. By aligning these, different effort within the hospitalities that brings the core value of the service and teamwork, inclusive mentoring can also help all staff to grow, feel valued, and progress in their career. But Ian, what makes this mentoring relationship truly empowering for the both sides?
Well, I think this question of coaching and mentoring is an interesting one that maybe I'll just touch on for a second. To me, coaching it's about work-related tasks more than anything. It's I can coach you how to do this task or how to do this task or how to get better at this or how to get better at that. So it's more short-term, it's more task-related, whereas mentoring is more long-term. People will have mentors for the whole of their lives sometimes, and will have many mentors. They won't rely on one person. They'll go to very different people, but it'll be a much more long-term relationship. It's built on trust. It's built on understanding of each other, what your goals are and everything. But at the end of the day, the mentoring relationship is about trying to develop the individual that is being menteed, i.e. how can I assist that person to become better at their job? Not do their job for them or give them the answers to their jobs, but how can I get them to think about the best way? How can I get them to process ideas? How can I get them to challenge themselves? And those ground rules, I think, have got to be made clear at the beginning of any mentoring relationship. So I always believe that companies, it's fine when companies delegate coaches to people. You're the best at this in this company, so you teach this person how to do this, then they become as good as you. But I think with mentoring, I think it's best that the mentee selects their own mentor, so that they recognize the skills and the abilities that mentor has, and what they can get from that mentor. Because what they're trying to do at the end of the day is drain their brain. not do everything they tell you, not follow everything they say, but get their opinion and their option and their approach, and compare that with somebody else's opinion and approach, and see which you feel would work the best for you. But it's a much more personal relationship. So I think selecting your own mentor, I've always had a couple within the industry. There's still a couple of people I go to now, even though I'm retired, that I would say, that person will give me a good angle on that. Am I taking the right approach? And I will go and speak to those individual people. So I think when you start a mentoring relationship, you've got to have very clear ground rules. Those ground rules have got to be set at the beginning. You've got to ask challenging questions of each other, and you've got to have a review process at the end of that mentoring. So what are you planning to do? How are you planning to move forward on this one? That would be my approach.
Thank you very much, Ian. Rory, recently, I was reading the.
Sorry, Prasanna. Good plug on the mentor-mentee, because the Institute of Hospitality, which conducts that, they have over 200 pairs of mentee-mentor relationships going at one time. All the help and support is on the website.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, Rory. I think let me highlight one more thing as well. I'm also the part of the mentee program, and if you need my assistant, please visit my site, and then you can contact me as well. Now let me ask you the things which is really fascinating to me is when I read the articles in the UK hospitality, it is saying we have almost 30% annually staff turnover in hospitality sector in UK, and this can be even more when you look into the kitchen staff or front of house operation side of it. So, and now because of this post-pandemic, recovery, it's been even more challenging by shifting worker, expectation, especially for the Gen Z, who's emphasize more into the work-life balance, job satisfaction, technology, and ethical work culture. Okay. So, what are the strategies that proving effective in reducing the turnover and building the long-term engagement, especially this post-pandemic? Rory, would you like to answer it?
Sure, thanks. There are a lot, and it's ever evolving. And I think some of the things to remember from a stats point of view is quite often people leave because they don't like their boss. It's not always about a company or a brand or a bigger objective. It's people. People work for people, and that's our business. So I think it harks back to the cultural elements to ensure you have good leadership, good managers, good management, and that will help. An awful lot of the positions you just mentioned, particularly in the kitchens, food and beverage service, and sometimes in housekeeping specific instances, they do have slightly higher staff turnover than others. And that's kind of the nature of the beast in a way. Young people coming through, doing a year, doing maybe 2 years, moving on, people that want to travel. But if we can look to try to increase the length of anybody that might consider short term, add on another 6 months, add a year, give them a career, give them progress, advancement. This is all possible, and we're seeing those indicators. So a few of the things we do here from a practical point of view. Having my last role of 450 people in the team, and this one now 250 people. But obviously having a whole group of managers, heads of department and the like, it means that there are various filters. And this is by no means saying that the managers aren't doing their job, but I set up direct line meetings. So I have breakfast meetings quarterly. In 1 month, I'll have breakfast with the nights team. In another month, I'll have breakfast with somebody from each department, and they'll come along, and we just have a very informal, no slides. We meet for breakfast and we talk about whatever is going on that people want to talk about. And by doing this, it allows a connection that the teams have with me directly. And I hear from them directly about some of the things that they're enjoying that are working well. And let's not forget, it's not all bad, but also things where they're finding some obstacles or some challenges within their teams. And sometimes the manager of that department, through no fault of their own, don't sometimes see just how important some of the small issues are within a department. They might just glance over it or feel that's not that important and pass it to another senior person to help sort out. But actually, locker rooms, locker sizes, the sanitary environment within the heart of the house areas, lots of these little things, shift patterns, keys, security, this all helps to create a seamless environment of people enjoying their work. So I get stuck in and I come up with a bunch of things that we need to resolve, fix, improve, and also some areas to help recognize. Because I think just what Ian was saying there, you need a lot of positivity. When things work well, you need to drive it. You need to make sure things are recognized, applause given, praise given where things are working well, because people react best to positive feedback. But at the same time, we need to resolve and fix some things that need improving. So the idea of those direct line meetings is in order to clear obstacles, clear problems, and allow all the team members to do their jobs to the best of their ability and make it work. The second thing that we do, which is really useful, is a talent management matrix. So we do this twice a year. We normally do it in February and about October. And we go through all of our supervisors and managers, and we take a look at their performance and potential, and we chart them all on a matrix. And those people that fall in the lower quadrants, who need a little bit of a nudge and a push, they might need an action plan to help them get back on track, we take action. For those people that are in the top quadrants, that are really aspiring leaders and they need a plan, how can we promote them? How can we get them to the next level? Understanding that you have a few trusted sages who they just want to be what they're doing. They don't want something else. That's fine. And then the key bit is those people in the middle that need a bit of a support, that they could be doing more. They just need a little bit of guidance and support, maybe a bit of coaching, mentoring. What is it that they need to do to help develop them? And these people, when they understand that they're being looked at and trying to be supported, and there is career progression, there is a plan, this is where we see you, they get more and more engaged. They feel cared for, supported, and they want to stay. They want to make the next grade. They want the promotion. They want a little extra money. They want the progression. And that we see has really, really helped in our teams, and in a time where it is really hard to find good talent.
Thank you for highlighting that people works for people, and well done for your talent management matrix. In this industry, the innovative learning and development method are really essential to boost the staff engagement and the retention. The approach like micro-learning and mobile training might make it easier for the team members. Short course or focus on a lesson at any time, even during the break, or even during their journey time, or identifying or creating some kind of gamifications which aid fun and motivate them to learn through the quiz, providing them the reward, or while on the job training and virtual simultaneous also helps them to build their confidence in real life scenario. Personalized learning path ensure the training is relevant to each roles, and peer learning or mentoring create a strong sense of teamwork. Crucially, offering the multilingual and inclusive content ensure everyone feels supported. With the managers, activity involved in coaching and follow-up, these modern learning and development strategy not only upskills the employees, but also help them to feel valued, leading to the better performance, stronger loyalty, and low staff turnover. Dr. Tracy, from your experience, what kind of workplace culture makes people to stay even when there are other opportunity in market?
Thank you, Prashana, for the question. So I will share about my research experiences on leadership that Rory already mentioned, that leadership is the key to success of hospitality. So I will talk about leadership and psychological safety. So as we know that workplace feels almost like a second home to the employee, right? And I believe that a workplace culture that we already mentioned, the culture makes people stay in hospitality even when other opportunities can arise, is that the culture that the team members feel genuinely valued for their contributions and they are empowered to grow. So they feel the empowerment both professionally and personally. So as we talk about strong leadership is the key. And when the managers genuinely listen to the employees, treat everybody fairly, it can build loyalty to the organization. And another critical element, according to the research, is the concept of psychological safety. Okay, psychological safety, especially in hospitality. So the people need to feel safe speaking up, asking questions, or even making a mistake without the fear of being blamed or being or embarrassed. Okay, so that's psychological safety. They feel safe to speak up. So when the staff members know that they are supported, okay, not being judged, they are more likely to thrive and stay in the organization. And I would like to talk about a famous outside hospitality example that Rory talked about $2,000 rule, okay, the $2,000 rule in Ritz-Carlton, and I talk about the Zappos $2,000 rule in a lot of my classrooms teaching. So the company is called Zappos. It's an online shoe company. Okay, so they sell shoes online, and they are telling that new employees, if you quit today, we will pay you for the amount of the time that you have worked plus a $2,000 bonus. And almost nobody takes the money, takes the $2,000 bonus because the culture is very strong, and quitting can make it harder than staying. So yeah, so that's the trick. So whether it's the hotel or restaurant or online shoe retailer, the recipe I think is the same. Is that happy workers are productive workers, and if your workers are happy, they're more likely to stay in the organization because they feel appreciated and they feel supported, and they are not constantly looking for the next opportunity. They are already where they want to be. Yeah, so happy workers are productive workers, and they want to stay in the organization.
Thank you, Dr. Tracy, for bringing the insightful information about happy workers are the productive workers. Ian, as you bring lots of experience from your work, what kind of culture makes a media staff in your team to stay even when there was the struggling phase for the industry?
Well, I've just jotted down a number of words that we've mentioned during the course of this webinar, and if I read through those are really the things that I think add that value and help you hang on to people. I think Rory's absolutely right. We have a transient workforce. We do have people that we know are going to pass through our industry. That's an opportunity in itself, in that, you know, they're coming in. Their plan when they come in is probably to stay for a short period of time while they're waiting for a university place or while they're at university or whatever. That's an opportunity for us to spark something in them and use that opportunity to try and hang on to them in their industry. They probably hadn't thought of a career in hospitality, but can we do something during that period of time when they say, actually, I've enjoyed this period of time working in the hotels or working in hospitality. Maybe I'll have a look at that as a career. So there's an opportunity in that. But I think things like giving people a real purpose, a real clear purpose, you know, this is why you're here, this is why you're here for the business, this is why you're here for you. Ownership and responsibilities, another word that's come up regularly during this conversation. Belonging, making them feel at home, making them feel part of the working family, giving them involvement, giving them challenge. So they've got their own challenges that they've got to achieve results on. Fair reward and recognition in the form of pay, but also in the form of other kinds of recognition. That might be a straightforward thank you. In some cases, it might be a little bit more. That reward can often be educationally based as well to help their development. So they can see that You know, we're trying to help them grow, as Tracy's just mentioned. Empowerment, this whole issue of safety is absolutely critical. If you've got a culture of fear, then you're going to lose a lot of people. So you've got to drive that fear out. People have got to feel safe in their working environment, and that's going to become more and more important into the future. I think it's just worth us remembering Maslow's pyramid. You know, we're all at a different stage in Maslow's pyramid, and we often talk about, okay, promotion, promotion, promotion. But what if we were to take a slightly different approach and say, okay, how am I going to get you to the next step up the pyramid, or the next step up the pyramid, or the next step up the pyramid, and give people the skills to do that, and the confidence to do that, and use the job to progress them as individuals and as people within their own lives, rather than just in the workplace.
Thank you, Ian. Rory, from your experience, what does a strong people-centric culture looks like in operational KIPs, and how can the GMs and owner measure it the way that you have mentioned about the talent management metrics? Is there any different way to measure it?
You know, they're all positive. I think that's the first thing. Everything when things start going right are all very positive. We have this week actually our staff satisfaction survey, which we call Como Voice. So this week we'll have all of the associates throughout the 18 hotels around the world filling out a survey about how happy are you. The important thing is that we measure it, we listen to it, and then we do something about it. One of the things that we did last year, a number of the comments that came back were about improved communication. And that's quite often what happens in a lot of businesses. Oh, I wish we heard about it. I wish we would improve communication. So we acted on it, and we introduced a internal staff software, communication software called Blink. And this Blink has transformed the old notice boards of yesterday to the digital savvy social content of Blink that acts a bit like WhatsApp, which is a real challenge for many hotels, because WhatsApp's not a good idea for lots of hotels. So it gives us a messaging system, but it also gives us a social platform, much like Facebook, and groups of people are sharing things, the fun side of things as well, and it really helps drive a sense of community spirit. And the engineering team put on there things that they've come up with that are creative. You know, all sorts of departments are coming up with things. And to begin with, we had a few skeptics. Oh, does that mean I need to use my own mobile phone? Yeah, it is, but you use that already for benefits in your paycheck and a few other things that are already digitized. And it's been a resounding success. And that's just one element that was picked up on a staff satisfaction survey that we picked up and ran with it all the way. There are numerous other KPIs that we look at from a quality base, whether it be leading quality assurance, LQA, Forbes 5-star, these third-party measurements where they come in and test your services for quality control. These give you great measurements, always good goals to have. Then you have the social platforms, whether it be TripAdvisor, Expedia, Agoda, all of these things, which these days you have an aggregator to give you a score, your Net Promoter Score. These are also good gauges, good goals. You try to drive a bit of growth, improvement each year, and it really helps the satisfaction of the team members when, just as Ian was saying, there are so many intangibles in our environment that you know when things are working well, but it's difficult sometimes to put your finger on it. So if you can look at some quality metrics that help people go, wow, we did it. We moved just yesterday in TripAdvisor down to number 14 and then 13. And that's worth an applause, a rejoice, a well done, let's do it. Because you know that it's an ever moving target, but the fact you're going in the right direction, great job, keep going. You then move into, obviously, from an owner's point of view, we're in a business to make some money. You need to control your costs, you want to increase your revenues, and you want to have some profit. If you have happy staff, they take care of the guests. If you have happy guests, they return, they spend. Many metrics show how much more an engaged, happy guest spends versus somebody that's not. You pick up on every element of discretionary spend and they love it. The guests that spend the most are quite often some of the happiest guests. And so that's just good for business. It's good for the P&L. It's good for our owners. It's good for everybody's measurements in terms of KPIs. There are numerous others that you can measure, but I think it's important to measure a lot, but incentivize and focus on a few, so everyone knows clearly what they need to be doing and what their role is whilst they enjoy their jobs.
Thank you, Rory. As we come to almost end of this session, before taking questions from the audience, let me ask all of you the one question. How would you define empowered hospitality workforce in 2025? If you can answer that in one sentence. Who would like to take first?
Just to be clear, how to describe an empowered workforce?
Yes. How do you define the empowered workforce in 2025?
Let me kick off. I would consider an empowered workforce a workforce that is challenging you from below. If I have team members that are coming to me and saying, we could do this, we could do that, and they're putting pressure on me to grow the business and improve the business, then that workforce has got to be confident. They've got to have the power to do that. That is an empowered workforce to me.
Thank you.
And I can do next. I think the empowered hospitality workforce is that the one where the employees feel trusted and they are supported. They can be supported by the smart technology, and the employees are equipped with autonomy and psychological safety to deliver the exceptional and human-centered service.
Thank you.
Trusted, an empowered workforce has trust and autonomy to do and win.
Thank you. Is it okay for me to summarize saying the empowered hospitality workforce in 2025 is a robust and adaptable team equipped to success in rapidly changing environment, which include the fast evolving technology and confidence to serve and collaborate with a Generation Z customer and the colleagues. Thank you very much, everyone. I'd like to take a questions from the audience now. I have one question. Is what is likely to be the impact of AI in culture in long terms?
Wow.
Question?
Yeah, this is a big question and a broad question. I mean, we're all sitting here. AI is starting to affect us all in different ways. I'm fortunate that I'm a little bit older than most, so I might just escape most of the consequences of it. But there is no doubt it's going to change our lives. The one thing that I have been thinking about in relation to AI is that I'm hearing that AI is going to replace so many jobs and so many different people. It's going to take this job away. It's going to take that job away. I saw some videos this week of a robot chef in a kitchen and all sorts of things. Bill Gates has been on the internet saying there's probably only 4 or 5 jobs that AI will not impact. Now, if that is the case, then there's going to be an awful lot of people around in the future looking for work and looking for jobs, which is not a position the hospitality industry has been in for a long time. Are we going to be able to benefit from that, or are we not? And what impact is that AI going to have on people's mindsets, on people's approaches to work? And if we have got a lot of employees around at some point in the future because of the impact of AI and us wanting to maintain that personal service, how are we then going to treat those people in the future when we're in a position where we've got ample employees? And I'd hate to think that we're talking about culture because we're struggling to find people and we want to get that culture right to attract people into the industry. I'd hate to think we move to a situation where, oh, we've got hundreds and thousands of people now, we're not short of people, we don't need to worry so much about culture. Because that would be a really negative direction for us to move into. So those are the sort of thoughts that I've been having around the impact of AI.
It's an interesting one because everyone's talking about it. I was at a Golden Keys conference last year, and one of their headline topics was AI, the future. And so for all the concierges and some scaremongers might be thinking, oh, but you don't need concierge anymore because everything is at the tip of a finger. I think that's wrong. You will need a concierge, and it's that personal touch, that recommendation, particularly in luxury hospitality, that is greatly valued. However, I think the concierge will be able to use AI to be able to pull together the resources, to be able to find things more easily, present things, have them rated, graded at the flick of a switch. And we're seeing the speed of growth with AI. So I see it being very supportive to a lot of frontline activities. I do also think that there are some areas where hotels could have replacement. We're looking at some bank reconciliations at the moment that is fairly robotic. It's a constant check and balance and read this and read that and check them off. And that is a perfect opportunity for automation to take over and to give you some variance analysis. So I think there will be, in some cases, areas where we might be able to save some payroll and employ some technology. With the increasing costs, particularly here in London, labour costs are just going up at a faster rate than revenues can increase. So that's just putting the pressure on our profit margins. So in a few areas like that, I think it could actually be quite a smart move, but I don't think it will take away the ultimate element of luxury hospitality, which is the personal service.
Thank you, Ian and Rory. Let me take a final questions, as sounds really challenging. How does the panel empower associates to speak up on the issues that are most important to them, such as wages and benefit?
Sorry, say that one more time, please.
How does the panel empower the associate to bring the issues that are most important to the staff, which is like wages or the benefit?
People speak up. Once you get an environment where people are feeling comfortable making suggestions and requesting and talking about things, they will share it. The staff satisfaction survey that I just mentioned before, there's a big free type box. Now, team members will always want more and more and more, and the benefits lists, if you ask people, will be huge, and people will always want that, and that's fine. But it's about how you address what you can have, what we do have, what we do provide. And as long as it's generous and the offering is there and competitive, you do the right thing. But it's about giving people the forum, whether it's anonymously or not, that they have the opportunity to share their feelings, concerns, and expectations.
I fully agree. I think an open, fear-free environment where people feel they can talk. You won't be able to deliver everything that everyone asks for, but you'll certainly start to understand what's important to them. And once you've got that information, you can act on that information.
Yeah, so as I talked about is the psychological safety, that people feel safe to voice their concerns and voice what they need for their benefits.
Thank you. Fear-free environment or the psychological safety. Are we okay to take one more questions? Yeah, so I got one question. How can a young professional advocate for the cultural change in traditional workplace setting?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
Yeah, how can a young professional advocate for the cultural change in traditional workplace setting?
How can a young professional account for the changes in culture in a workplace environment?
No, advocate for the cultural change in traditional workplace setting.
Advocate. How can a young person support the cultural change?
Yes.
Okay.
Open up, be their best selves, support, contribute, and have some fun in the process.
Nice.
Fully agree. I mean, you've got to take a team approach. I think you've got to be prepared to buy into the team and look at the contribution you can add to the team, but also the contribution that everyone else in the team is making. It can't be a situation whereby my ideas are always better than their ideas. It's willingness to listen to everybody in the team and identify, the best approach to everything, the best idea. And once you've got this pool of ideas and you can then sit down together and select, this is the one we're going to work on because it's the best. And that teamwork approach, I think, is critical, is being willing to be part of that team.
Go one step further back into recruitment, and I didn't share it, but I think we're kind of meaning the same thing. Recruiting on attitude is a much better bet than just on skills. And we've seen so many people over the years that have come in and somebody's not just quite right, and it's normally attitudinal. And so you can work as best at it, but at the end of the day, I'd hire somebody over a positive attitude and a glass half full and let's do it, I'm willing, game on, than somebody that's had 5 years experience in the specific discipline you're hiring them from, who might not actually be that positively enabling.
Yeah. And anybody that's listening to this webinar, I would encourage to go out, if they haven't already, and have a good look at the service profit chain and what the service profit chain tells us about the way we treat people and the impact that has on people staying and growing with businesses.
Thank you. Before we close today, I would like to extend my heartfelt thanks to our incredible panel. Your insight and your generosity in sharing your time has been truly remarkable, and I'm deeply grateful for your contribution. A quick reminder to the audience, please don't forget to log into your membership portal and log this CPD by your membership dashboard. Okay. That brings us to the end of today's webinar, and I hope you have enjoyed the discussion and found valuable takeaway to apply in your workplace. Thank you all for joining us, and I wish you a wonderful rest of your day.
Goodbye, everyone.
Thanks.
Bye,
Bye-bye.
everyone.